Colorado State's March Madness run came to an end yesterday, unfortunately. This is your Denver Sports Daily for March 24th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Colorado State was looking to make a deep run this year, but unfortunately their dance came to an end last night at the hand of Maryland. They won their first game of March Madness, beating a 5-seeded Memphis team. Great win there, and they looked to win yesterday. They had a 12-point lead at one point, and they held a 71-70 lead with only 3 seconds left, but Maryland hit a buzzer beater to finish the game 72-71 and send the Rams packing. Now, again, CSU held as much as a 12-point lead, and they were 24-1 when leading at half and when leading with 5 minutes remaining in the game throughout this season, but they weren't able to close it out this time. Nick Clifford, who is bound to be a top 10 pick in the NBA, led the Rams in points, assists, and blocks with 21, 6, and 2. He also had 7 rebounds, and he also broke the school record for most points in a season. Incredible stat line from him, incredible game overall. Now, CSU finished their season 26-10, and overall, it will be looked at as an incredible season, but it's so unfortunate. I mean, these guys were underdogs throughout the first game. They were, underdogs, not really, kind of, somewhat. They were a lower seed. They went out and they beat a 5-seeded Memphis team, and then they were dominating Maryland for most of the game, coming into the second half with a 7-point lead. They only had one loss throughout the whole season when they were leading at halftime, and it ended in that fashion. It was so unfortunate. And if you watch, a lot of people, very many people were saying it was a travel if you watch that buzzer beater. And I'm not here to argue whether it was a travel or not. The refs didn't call it, so that's the game. That's how it is. That's how basketball is. But to me, it definitely looked like a travel, and it's just so unfortunate that something like that had to happen here at home, had to happen to CSU. That's just the worst possible question or thing that could happen to this team. They were looking to make that run. They were, Cinderella underdog teams, and they were going out there and they were making a statement, and they had that win in the bag. But, you give Maryland 3 seconds and you let them drive to that left baseline. It's never going to end well. Now, the major question surrounding this program is this: Niko Medved, the head coach, will stay with the team. Now, many news outlets are linking him to both CU and Minnesota, so it's really it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens to him. Is he going to stay with CSU, or is he going to move on to a different team? He is a Minnesota native. He went to U of M, so something like that. Minnesota is searching for a head coach, so a lot of places are linking him to Minnesota. He's probably going to coach there if he doesn't come back to CSU. Now, moving on, the Nuggets dismantled the Houston Rockets to end their 9-game win streak, winning 116-111. Huge win for the Nuggets. Now, despite missing Nikola Jokic for the 4th game in a row, Jamal Murray and the Nuggets were able to take down one of the best in the West. Murray looked like his real self. He led the team, notching 39 points, adding 4 rebounds and 7 assists. That's the kind of stat line you want from this guy. I mean, this is Jamal Murray. This is the one we've come to know and love. Everybody gets nervous about him going into the trade deadline. This is why you keep him on the team. 39 points, just an incredible game from Jamal. 6 Nuggets finished in double digits, and the X factor of the game was no doubt DeAndre Jordan, who had 11 points on 5 for 7 shooting and added 15 rebounds. Looked like his old self too, just getting out there, getting some buckets and rebounds. That's what you want to see from the vet. Now, after this win, the Nuggets moved to 3rd in the West, only 1 game behind the Rockets. Now, the Nuggets do play again tonight as they take on the Chicago Bulls. Hopefully, Murray can keep up his incredible play as Nikola Jokic may be out once again. Now, the Nuggets are heading into tonight's game as 4-point home favorites, and that game will tip off at 7 p.m. Incredible game from the Nuggets. Really, overall, incredible play. They had a big lead, kind of started to lose it towards the end, but they were able to close it out. Jamal Murray, as incredible as he could be, he's going out there in the last minute, get the ball in his hands. He drew a few fouls, taking those free throw shots. That's who you want at the line. That's the kind of play you want from your star. This was supposed to be a star. If Nikola Jokic is out, who gets the ball? It's Jamal Murray every single time. And if both of them are out, we saw it's usually going through Aaron Gordon. But leave no question, Jamal Murray is still here, and he can make a deep run in the playoffs every single season. That's the kind of play that we've come to know from Jamal Murray. Now, moving on, the Avs got an overtime win on Saturday to end their Canadian road trip. The Avs took on the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday and left Canada with a 5-4 win that ended in a shootout. Now, the Avs held a 4-1 lead midway through the third period, but Montreal's late heroics were able to send it to OT. They scored 2 goals within 30 seconds, then another with 6 minutes remaining in the game. Now, Brock Nelson, player of the game, hero of the game, scoring a goal and notching an assist in regulation, then getting a shootout goal to end the game. He was the one to ice it. That's the kind of stuff you want to see. They brought in this guy. They really had a lot of trust that he could lead this team to a deep playoff run, and he's doing that. He's had 3 goals now in the past 2 games. Incredible play from Brock Nelson. Just incredible play. That's the kind of stuff you want to see from him. Now, Mackenzie Blackwood didn't have his best performance, but he still saved 25 of 29 shots, recording a .862 save percentage. And even when it's not his best game, those are still solid numbers. Those are great numbers. 25 of 29. That's the kind of stuff that we weren't used to seeing with Georgiev or Annunen. Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood, that might be the move that saved the Avs. That really might have been, because if they were going to the playoffs with those 2 guys in between the posts, Annunen and Georgiev, there was not a chance that the Avs were winning a Stanley Cup again. But these 2 guys that they've brought in are exactly what they needed. Great pickups from the Avs. Obviously, I've said it so many times this year before. If the Avs win the Stanley Cup, I'm buying a Mackenzie Blackwood sweater. I'm buying a jersey. Whatever you say, I don't care. I don't care if he fails in the last game, but they still win. He is the X factor. He is what this team needed. Now, after this win, the Avs moved to 43, 25, and 3 and still sit in the 4th spot in the Western Conference, but they do play again tomorrow against the Detroit Red Wings. So it should be a very good game. Should be a great game. Again, the Avs are hot. They've only lost 2 games in the past 11 or so. They are looking great right now, and they got to keep growing because this playoffs is going to be very, very fun to watch. I got them going deep. I really do. The Avs have something, and there's something in the air. This team is going to go back to the Stanley Cup. I promise. Now, moving on, the Broncos lost one of their most utilized players on Friday. Lil Jordan Humphrey played the 2nd most snaps at wide receiver last season, but on Friday, he moved on from the Broncos and signed with the New York Giants. Humphrey spent the last 2 seasons in Denver, and his last season was his best, recording 31 catches for 293 yards and getting a touchdown. Now, Humphrey was one of the first players Sean Payton signed in his initial free agency with the team, and in that time, Humphrey played an important role, especially when it came to blocking. Now, this move has created a vacancy in the wide receiver room, and the Broncos may look to fill a role like that in the draft. Now, I don't know if the Broncos are going to go with the 1st-round draft pick being a wide receiver. I don't know if that's what the best possible case or scenario is for the Broncos. Obviously, a running back is the main goal. You want a joker. You want a running back, maybe a tight end. They did get Evan Ingram, so it's not looking like a tight end will be their 1st-round draft pick, but would a wide receiver be a better pick now in the 1st round with that 20th pick? If there's somebody on the board who can make an immediate impact and be a wide receiver 1 over Cortland Sutton, maybe that's better than getting a running back. Because honestly, a running back is good, but it's always a risk. If you're not getting one of those top 2 running backs, Ashton Genty or Marion Hampton, is it worth it to get a running back, to take a risk with the 20th pick in the 1st round? Or do you go with the best position available and hope that it's a wide receiver? There's a lot of questions surrounding this team coming towards draft day. It's going to be very exciting to see what, the next mock drafts have the Broncos doing, especially with all the moves happening around this team. I'm very, very interested to see what the experts have to say on where the Broncos are going to actually end up come draft day. Now, that's going to do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I will be back with you guys again tomorrow, hopefully recapping a Nuggets win and previewing another big Avalanche game. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all later. Bye, y'all.